It's KP&AC, our takes is like crazy. Hot takes on the daily, we might take your lady. This flow goes bananas, bananas got boatloads. Big time, we go, hard like this promo.
Hey, and we're back. We got some NBA predictions today. KP&AC Media. What's going on, AC?
Woo! Got some got some big games of basketball coming up. So just coming off watching those play-in games, they were exciting. I didn't see the Warriors losing there, but other than that, man, nothing crazy. Kind of went as I assumed. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think everything went as planned, and I pretty much figured everything would happen the way it did, other than the Warriors, getting upset last night. We're going to dive into some NBA predictions today. So before we do that, we'd like you to drop a like and subscribe below. And we're going to give you some breakdowns. And we're just going to dive right into it since we got the schedule all set up now, all the playing games complete. We have our predictions for who's going to win each round, and we're going to give you our title winners, and we're going to give you the breakdown of everything. So we're just going to dive right into it here. We got the Jazz going to be facing off against the Grizzlies. Who you got here? The 1 and 8 seed in the West.
Yeah, so like I was saying, man, I didn't see this coming. I kind of thought this was going to be the Warriors. Obviously, this is just. I think this becomes even easier for the Jazz. I got them winning this one. I just think they're too much, and they got depth. I know they're hoping on Mitchell coming back. Even if he's not, I still got the Jazz in this one pretty easily. Clarkson, he's a great bench point guard. And then Gobert and Bogdanovich, they're just a lot. So I kind of see this series probably ending in 5. It could even be a sweep. I don't know, but yeah, it's just I think they made out with not having to face the Warriors. I think the Warriors would have gave them a little better test. I like John Morant. I mean, he's a stud. I think he's probably looking at being a maybe future MVP of this league, but just young. This team's just not ready for it yet. What you got?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think the Warriors would have given them a little more fits, but I still would have picked the Jazz here. I like the way they've played this year. I think Jordan Clarkson, huge pickup for
Yeah,
them. I think he's the sixth man of the year. Yeah, I mean, I think he's sixth man of the year. I think that he's just steps in and he's done a great job with Donovan Mitchell out.
yep.
So I like the Jazz here in 5, like you said. I think the Grizzlies can pull off one at home, and then I just think that the Jazz take care of it. They're just too good a team, and I really like Quinn Snyder as a coach too. So I like the Jazz here pretty easy.
Right. I like it, man. Good pick. I think
Yeah,
we're both going to agree on
yeah,
that one.
yeah. This next one we might not. So let's dive into the 4-5. We got the Clippers and the Mavs. Who you got here?
Yeah, so this is a great series last year. Obviously Dallas had some injuries. I'm going to say that the Clippers are just a little better off this year. I don't think Dallas made that next big step for them. They still may be a piece away. I'm not really sure if Porzingis is going to be that dude that pans out to be the guy I thought he was. He deals with injuries a lot. I don't think the Mavericks ascended like they needed to. So I'm going to take the Clippers here. I still think it'll be a good series. I just got the Clippers in 6.
Yeah, so I actually figured we might disagree here. So I got the Mavs here, and I think it could be in 6 or 7. Or I think it'll definitely go 6 or 7. I just think that the Mavs, I agree with what you said, that they're one piece away from making that big step. But I still think the Clippers they're not put together the way they should. Paul George never shows up in the playoffs. They lost Lou Williams. I think the Mavs will have enough to be able to handle the Clippers. And I know the Clippers are a lot of people's, championship pick, but I just like the Mavs. I think their offense is tough. They're explosive. I think they got enough shooting. If they get JJ Redick back, that'd be huge for them. It doesn't look like they will right away, but I think that could be really big for them if they could get him back. But I just think Luca and Porzingis, they'll be enough to be able to handle them. So yeah, again, I just never, I can't, I haven't seen the Clippers, with Kawhi to be able to take the jump that they should. So
I
I
like it.
like the Mavs here. Yeah, I like the Mavs. So we'll see what happens. It'll be a good series though, like you said, 6 or 7 definitely, probably 7. So
I like it.
yeah, and then we'll move right along in the West here. We got the Nuggets and the Blazers. I'll go ahead and start off here. This is the 3-6 matchup. Nuggets are going to have the home court. So I got the Nuggets here against the Blazers. I think the Blazers in 6. I think the Blazers will win a couple. I don't know if the Jamal Murray injury is going to be a big deal in this series. I think it could hurt him as the playoffs go on. Michael Porter Jr., I've mentioned it before, great number 2 as a fill in for Jamal Murray. And I just think the Joker will be enough that, they'll be able to get past the Blazers. Blazers are another team, like you mentioned earlier with the Mavs. They're like a piece away. They always seem like they're a piece away. They got that backcourt is big time. They're just something's missing there. They got to get somebody else in there to. I don't know if it's a big they got some good bigs, but they're just not that. They're not the guys that are going to take you over the top. So I got the Nuggets here, MVP candidate and Joker, who really actually I'll go ahead and say this. I should have said it at the beginning. Joker to me is the MVP of the league this year. That's my MVP. So
Yeah.
I got them taking this one in 6.
Yeah, Joker will likely win MVP. I'm with you on that one. I think with Embiid, I think he could have won it. Just injuries and not playing as much. So, but actually, I disagree with you on this one, and I'm glad we're disagreeing on these. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
all right. Look at
yeah.
this.
So
How about
I
that?
have the Blazers winning this one in 6. I don't think the Nuggets without Murray can keep up with this Blazers team, especially with that backcourt. McCollum and Lillard's a lot. And I think they're just going to be blazing it up. This Nuggets team has been a great defensive team all year, but they're not great at defending the 3. I do know that. And yeah, meanwhile, the Blazers, they take, I think, the second most threes in the league on average. And I'm expecting the Blazers to blaze. I think CJ and them, they're going to do their thing. And I got Blazers coming out of this one.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is another one that'll be a good series. I mean, they're two well matched teams, so I don't think that's a crazy prediction at all. I think the Blazers, like you said, they got some great shooters, and that backcourt's probably the best in the league. So
Yeah, yeah, and they won it. I mean, they've been at that same spot for 4 or 5 years. It seems like they just can't get over the hump. And I'm not.
right.
This year's probably not the year to get over the big hump. But Lillard, he comes up big in those big moments, and I could see him draining one of those big buckets to clinch his series. So that's where I'm at with it.
Dame time.
Game time, game time.
Breaking glass on them three. Yeah, that's not a bad prediction. And we got the last one here. We got the 2-7 matchup. So we know the Suns in the 2 matchup did not want to play the Lakers in this matchup this early in the playoffs. But, the Lakers dealt with some injuries, so they slipped into the 7 spot. What you got here? Who you like?
I got the Lakers in 6. I honestly believe, Chris Ball is another one of those dudes he'll probably finish second or third in the MVP ballot. He's been a monster. He goes to a team, they're just automatically better. He's just one of those guys that just make things happen. I like Devin Booker's game. I think this Lakers team's too big. They're too versatile. LeBron, even at 85%, he's just, him and AD are too much. And I don't know if the Suns have anyone to really slow down AD if he's going, and he's not really shown he's the player he was last year, but I think this is a good series for him to kind of get back on track. Aiton's a promising big, but I just think they're too young.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with everything you said. I like the Lakers here in 6, maybe even 5. I think this is the last year that LeBron will be able to show that he's still in his prime, because you could see he's kind of taken that small step back, with injuries. He's never dealt with injuries before. He's now starting to deal with injuries. He's starting to get up there in age. So I think this is, they got one last big run, and I think that they could still make run. I still think the Lakers can make a run in the future, but they're going to have to add some more pieces. I don't think they did a good job in the offseason this past year. They trade out Dennis Schroeder for Rondo, and I like Rondo fit with them better than Schroeder. I feel like.
Yeah,
I felt like they should have went out. Yeah, and I felt like they should have went out and got a shooter. They didn't get another shooter. They got Caldwell Pope, very average. He's okay, good defender, good perimeter defender. But it just they should have went out and made a couple more changes, and I think that's starting to show. And I think it's shown most of the year, but it's starting to show that that's really what they need for the playoffs. So, but saying all that, I do still think the Lakers. I'm saying all this negative stuff. I do still think the Lakers take this series and are going to make a run this year. I just, I still think they just could have done better. I just think LeBron and AD being two of the top, 7 to 8 players in the league, because AD for me is right at that 6, 7 spot in the league. So I think that'll be too much for Chris Paul and them. But Chris Paul's had a great year. Devin Booker's a great player, but I like the Lakers here, and I'll even say in 5. I think the Suns will win 1, but I think the Lakers will pull out in 5.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So that runs us through the first round of the West. Let's hop over to the first round of the East over here. We got the 76ers and the Wizards in round 1. Who you like in this one?
Yes, I got this one in over probably in 5, maybe 6. We'll see. We'll see what Westbrook could conjure up. Philly to me is just too big, too skilled. They've been here before. They're another one of those teams that kind of been sitting on the precipice of something good for a few years now, and they haven't really put it all together. But I think everyone's healthy, and Embiid seems to be healthy. I could see Westbrook and Beal doing their thing, coming up with a big win or two. I'm just, and here's the thing, like Beal's going to average 25, Westbrook's going to average a triple double, but like I still think this team gets bounced early. I like Philly this year. Simmons and Embiid, I think they're ready to take like that next step. I just don't see them losing, a first round series to the Wizards. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would say 5 or 6, 76ers, take care of business. Not a whole lot here to jump on. You hit on everything I was thinking. Westbrook will the team's way to a win or two, but it won't be enough. And I'll say too, Ben Simmons, they're talking this year. He's a very underrated defender. He's going to be guarding one of those two guys, and he'll be able to slow him down a little bit. Yeah, and Embiid's just been a monster this year. So
Yeah, Simmons is always in talk for Defensive Player of the Year. So then this is another year where he's got a shot.
yeah, his length gives guards a big problem and wings a big problem.
Big time.
So that one's pretty easy. We're both on board with the 76ers there. Let's jump down to the 4-5 matchup. This is an interesting matchup here. The Hawks and the Knicks. I'll just start off here and say I like the Hawks here over the Knicks. In about 6, I think, maybe even 7. But I think it'll be an okay matchup. But neither of these teams that good. But I think Trae Young and those guys, they're able to get past. I think the home court advantage will play in to effect, as you see with the fans coming in now. They're able to fill these stadiums with more people. So I think the fans and the home court are going to play a little bit of a factor in the playoffs as we get going here. Who you like?
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little different here. I got the New York Knicks winning this one. This is
the New York Knickerbockers.
Yeah, it's been a long time for them. And I think just, that's part of the reason. Like, there's a lot of, hype about them right now because they made it this far. And I just kind of like that hype carrying them through. I think both teams overachieved this year. Trae Young, obviously, he's an up-and-coming star. The 3 times they've played this year, he's done great. He's averaged over 25 points each one of those games. I just don't think, I don't know. The Knicks aren't super talented. Julius Randle, he's clearly probably going to win most improved player of the year. I just think ultimately what decides the series is the Knicks play harder, and I think the Knicks play better defense. So that's really what it comes down to. I'm a little worried about the Knicks offensively. They don't have the firepower Atlanta does. But I think defense is just going to win out and just playing hard. And I think they're well coached. I just see this one probably going 6 or 7. I'm going to say 7. And I got the Knicks pulling it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, I think that'll be a good series, though. I don't think either of them. I think we'll probably both agree on the next round. I don't think either of them can beat Philly in the next round anyway. But we'll talk about that shortly.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah. The next one, we got the 3-6 matchup. We got the Bucks and the Heat here. Bucks at the 3 seed and the Heat at the 6 seed. Who you like?
Yeah, so this is going to be a great series, I think. I think that this one could go 7, bro. I really do. These two teams, they just played not even a week ago. Bucks won, but I believe this is a resilient Heat team. Like we've seen what they did last year in the bubble. I don't think it's going to be an easy out. Jimmy Butler, like he just plays up. That dude plays with a lot of heart. He's a stud, and I just at the end of the day, I think the Greek Freak's probably a little bit too much. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. I mean, they're great. They can all play defense when they need to. I think I'm not going to say 7. I'll say 6. I think Milwaukee wins this at 6, but I think it's a good series. I think it's close.
Yeah, I'm actually was just going to say the exact same thing. I like the Bucks in 6 here. Spoelstra's just a great coach. He's starting to get the credit that he deserves over this last year or two with how good the team's been playing. After everybody leaves, and he's developing all these role players: Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero.
Yep.
These guys coming out of nowhere. So I like the team there, and I just like you said, I just think that Greek Freak's going to be a little too much. I do like the Drew Holiday pickup over Eric Bledsoe this past year. I like that little exchange they made there because I think Bledsoe was good for them sometimes, but he's really inconsistent. And I just think Drew Holiday fits a little bit better with them. So I obviously like Middleton. I think Middleton's a good 2 or 3.
Yep.
So good number 2, number 3 guy. So I like the Bucks, and yeah, I think they take care of business in 6. I think the Heat will win 1 or 2, but that's about it. Let's jump right on down to the Nets with the 2 seed and the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics get in here. Yeah, who you like?
So I mean, this one's probably one of the easier ones. I got Brooklyn here 4-1. I'm gonna give Boston 1 here because of Tatum. Brown's injured. Walker's formidable. It's just an underwhelming Celtics team to me. Like this team, I think it's like 4 or 5 years now. Like I just remember looking back and being like, damn, this team's young. They got a lot of talent. They got a lot of draft equity. They got a lot of money to spend. And for whatever reason, like things just did not play out for them. And yeah, I do think Tatum's obviously going to be a star in the league. He's already a star. I think he could be a top 5 player in the league. Not too long from now. This Brooklyn team is too much. It's too offensively talented. So yeah, I got Brooklyn here. I think Brooklyn's, obviously they're getting healthy at the right time. I got them in 5. Brooklyn 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you here. Brooklyn in 5, maybe 6. Maybe Celtics can will their way into 2 wins here, but definitely not more than that. I don't think it'll even have a chance to go past 6 games. And honestly, I could see it being a sweep. I mean, the Nets are that good. The Celtics are very, very underachieving this year. And again, I think it's mainly because of injuries. Brad Stevens is starting to take some heat for the how they've played this year. But
Yep.
again, they've dealt with a lot with injuries, and they're another one of those teams. Though it's like, they got Tatum, Brown, and Kemba Walker, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough, and they need another piece. They probably need a big time. They need a good big that can fit in with them, and I just don't think Brad Stevens has gotten a good deal with this. He's dealt with a lot with injuries, so I don't think it's his fault at all. I still think he's one of the best coaches in the league. So, it's always going to be the coach's fault when the team underachieves in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's the way it is. But I got Brooklyn here too, so we can dive right over into the second round here. So we got our winners of the first round. let's go over to back over to the West, and the Jazz versus the Mavs is what I have, and you have the Jazz versus the Clippers. So why don't you go ahead and tell me what you got here?
Hold on, I gotta find my spot here. Okay. Yeah, so Jazz versus Clippers. I got the Clippers here in 7. Jazz actually won 2 of the 3 games these guys played this year. Like I said, I think the Clippers I think they've made a good step in the right direction during the offseason. I think it'll be closely contested. I just think
So
Kawhi.
you just think it's playoff. You just think it's playoff time for the Clippers then in these couple series. It sounds like.
Yeah. I think they're going to be all right. At least up until this point. I think Kawhi and Paul George are still going to continue to do their thing. I don't think the pressure's really mounted on them yet into these first 2 rounds. So that's the way I'll put that. So yeah, I got the Clippers winning this one. Like I said, it'll be a good series. Both teams are good, but yeah, Kawhi and Paul George ultimately too much for the Jazz.
No, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think of it like that, but that's a really good point about the pressure not getting to them in the first couple rounds. They're probably going to be playing relaxed and just thinking they're supposed to be winning these games. So that's a good point. As I mentioned earlier, that Paul George likes to fold in the playoffs, but it's usually in the bigger moments,
Yeah,
like you mentioned.
yeah.
So that's a good point, real good point. So I got the Mavs versus the Jazz here. And I just got the Jazz pulling this off. I like the Jazz this year. I think they're a really, really balanced and well constructed team. I think they're good in a lot of different ways. I think they can win in a lot of different ways. So, Donovan Mitchell plays, that's awesome. But if he doesn't, and you got Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench who can drop, 30 or 40 on any given night. So, I think it's just a really well put together team and well coached team, as I mentioned earlier, with Quinn Snyder. I really like him. And I just think they're able to pull past the Mavs. And I'll say in 6, I think the Mavs will win a couple, but I just think that home court with the Jazz, I think they probably jump up to a 2-0 lead and just they got the home court there. And I just think they take care of business against the Mavs. And I'll tell you too, if I would have picked the Clippers to win here, I would have taken the Jazz to beat the Clippers too. I really like the Jazz this year. I don't think it's a fluke that they got the number 1 seed, and they had the best record out in the West. So I like the Jazz to pull this one out.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we're going to jump down here to so I got the Nuggets versus the Lakers, and you got the Blazers versus the Lakers. So I'll go ahead and just start off here. I got the Lakers. I'm assuming you do too, but we'll let you jump in here. I got the Lakers over the Nuggets in 6 or 7 again. I'll go ahead and say in 6 because that'll be Lakers at home. Their home game in 6. Because the Nuggets will have the home court. I think the Nuggets will win a couple games, but you mentioned earlier that injury to Jamal Murray, that'll be an issue. I think the Lakers will just be too much. And earlier I meant to mention, when they pulled their way past the Warriors the other night, I don't even think they had a good game. I didn't even think they played that well. LeBron was just getting back, so I think they start getting their feet under them a little bit in that first round against the Suns, get on a little roll, and then they start getting it together. LeBron starts getting a little more healthy, and this is where they're able to pull out against the Nuggets here in 6 and make it to the Western Conference Finals. So I got them and the Jazz in the Western Conference Finals. Who you got?
Yeah. So I agree with you. And I think the Lakers are starting to get going here. I think, they kind of got their feet under them at this point. I got the Lakers in 6. LeBron James, I mean, that's basically my reason for that. I just think this dude's too good to lose to this Blazers team. And the Blazers, I think, like you were saying, just that major piece away. I don't know what it is. They need something. But big up to McCollum. I was rooting for this dude, Glen Oak grad. You don't want none of them talents right there. He's a beast, man, and I'm always rooting for him. But I got the Lakers in this one, and I'm gonna stay in 6.
Okay, we're gonna have to get McCollum on this show too. I was thinking about that before. I need to reach out to his brother Eric and try to get
Yeah,
try to see if we can maybe even just get both of them on at some
Yeah, that'd
point.
be
But
cool.
I think that'd be cool. Yeah, I think that'd be cool for them to get on, and I think he would do it. I mean, he knows Glen Oak grad, and I played with him a little bit, growing up.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I know his brother more, but we'll have to. That'll be something we try to do. Just give the people a little tease, and so hopefully we can do that. Talk some basketball with him. And all right, let's just hop back over here to the East and see who we got coming out of the East. So we got the 76ers and Hawks, and you got the 76ers and Knicks. I'll just go ahead real quick. I got the 76ers maybe sweeping the Hawks. I'll say 5. I'll say the Hawks steal 1. But I got the 76ers. Yeah, you could get the brooms out
Yeah.
possibly,
Yeah.
but maybe they steal 1, just maybe they steal 1 at home, but I don't see it. I don't see it being more than 5. So I'll make it quick and just say 76ers. They make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I got Philly here too. Philly against the Knicks. Philly wins in 4. The East just isn't that deep after those first those 3 teams. Like Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee. After that, it's just doo doo. And I don't think any of these teams would.
Here's what you can here's what you can do.
Yes, flush them out. This Knicks just doesn't have enough firepower. Philly's just, I don't know where they would have an advantage against Philly, offensively or defensively, just too dominant. So yeah, I think I got Philly here in a clean sweep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think Sixers is they have about the easiest ride to the Eastern Conference Finals as anybody. So, and they deserve it. I mean, they're the 1 seed, and they deserve the 1 seed because they played well all year. So they earned it.
You said it, bro.
Yeah. And then so we jump over Bucks Nets. Both of us here. This should be a pretty good series, actually. I'll let you start off here. What do you see here happening?
Okay, so this is. I'm really looking forward to this series. This is going to be a good one. I got the Brook taking this one 4-3. Milwaukee has a size.
7.
Yeah,
Huh?
Milwaukee has a size advantage. These teams split in the regular season, but Brooklyn was without Harden during one of those games. KD and Giannis are going to be fun to watch. I'm not sure, what Brooklyn has for Giannis defensively. Last time these guys played, Giannis went for 49. I think he's the mismatch. And on Brooklyn's side, I'm not sure who they have for James Harden. I think James Harden is actually going to come out of this series I think he's going to be the MVP of this series. That's my major X factor in this one. They match up. I don't think the Nets lose this one. I got the Nets in 7.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I got the Nets. I'm just trying to figure out how many I think. I don't know how many the Bucks will pull off. I'm going to say the Nets in 6. I like them to win pretty easily the series. I don't really think they get it. I don't really think the Bucks give them a whole lot of problems. I think they'll pull off like 2 wins, and I just think the Nets again. We talked about too much firepower. I think that James Harden finally has his breakout playoffs that he's been looking for over the past few years. He's got to get over that hump where he gets a bad rap too for folding in the playoffs, and he has in the past. But now with KD, Kyrie, I think that he puts it together, and I think this is his year. I think this is their year, and I think they swing by the Bucks and beat them in 6. So I don't think it's too much of a series, but I think it'll be decent for a couple games. But Giannis is tough to stop. Again, he'll will his team into a couple wins, but these 7-game series, you always find the best team, so you can always win a game or two. But that's what I like about the NBA playoffs is you get to see you get to see who the best team is because you play out a full series and it's not just a 1 game and done type situation. So we got our Western Conference Finals and our Eastern Conference Finals here. And let's just run through them real quick. I have the Jazz and the Lakers.
And I got the Lakers
and the 76ers. And you got the Lakers Clippers. And then we both have the 76ers Nets.
Right.
So go ahead and tell me who you got out of these LA teams out here out west.
Okay, so in all honesty, I'm not lying about this, man. Like a week ago, I was going to take the Clippers here, but then I seen how they were straight dodging the Lakers, man. They lost those 2 games on purpose.
They're
They're
scared, bro.
scared. They're scared of Big Brother. That's all it is, man. There's something about that. Like
This is what
that's that.
they're
That's them,
scared.
dude. And it's like my brother, dude. He benches like 450, man, and this dude's still scared of me. I'm telling you, like it's just something like once you're Big Brother, you're always Big Brother. And yeah. So I don't think the Clippers have the confidence to close this out. I think they're mentally soft when it gets to this point. This is where I think they just fold. And it's like Michigan every year they play OSU, like just getting crushed. And I got the Lakers in 6. I don't even think it's going to be that great of a series.
Yeah, they're scared, man. They dipping and dodging, you know.
Yeah.
So they're and the thing is too, it's almost like the Lakers were banged up at the time. You might have been smarter to just play them while they were still banged up if you were trying to take that strategy, you know. But hey, I don't blame you there for picking the Lakers. So I got the Lakers over the Jazz, and I think I'll even say 6. I'll say that the Lakers win it on their home floor in 6. I was thinking maybe 7, but I think if it gets to 7, the Jazz could end up pulling it out on their home floor. So because again, I mentioned it earlier, I think the home court is going to start playing a factor here as the playoffs keep going. They're adding more and more fans to each games. So I think that that's going to be a factor. And to remember, some of these guys they're not used to playing with fans since last year. So it's been a while. So I like the Lakers here, and in 6, I think that they'll end up in the NBA Finals. So, and then I'll just go ahead and jump over to the East and just tell you I got the Nets here, and I got the Nets in 6. I think that they pull off on their home floor as well. And I think it's a LeBron KD finals, and that might be a chalk pick for some people, but I don't think a lot of experts are going to be picking the Lakers. I really don't. I think that they think that they're banged up, that LeBron might have lost a step. He's still injured. But I think a lot of people will have the Nets. So, and then, we'll talk about our finals picks here after you give me your East. But so I got the Lakers and the Nets. Who you got? Nets versus Sixers.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be different here, man. I'm going out on a limb. I was kind of like looking at seeing what other people were picking. Yeah, and I got Philly winning this one. And I'm not seeing anybody picking Philly, but I think Philly is definitely a team not to mess with. The Nets haven't been completely healthy all year. They've played 8 games together. So, like, it's just hard for me to believe that they're going to make it through these playoffs unscathed. I also love Philly's size in this matchup. Simmons is a great on-the-ball defender, maybe the best in the league. So if Harden or Irving get hot, like I could easily see him, like taking one of them out or at least giving them fits. And I'm not sure who the Nets have for Joel Embiid. The more I thought about that, plus they have Dwight Howard out there. There's a lot of size. They can hit the 3-ball too. They got Seth Curry in them. And I just, the Nets haven't played defense all year. So, for me, there's a lot of variables. And then you add in Kyrie and his whole thing, like, I never know where this dude's at mentally. He's gone from calling the world flat to burning sage on the court to family issues. And, I seen the last interview with him, he was talking about tensions in the Middle East. And I'm like, man, where's this guy gonna be like where they need him in the biggest moments, And I could see like the team really hasn't faced adversity all year outside of injury, and I think this is a series where they get it, and I'm not sure they're prepared for it. And I think at this point there's just, like I said, too many variables, and I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say Philly in 7.
Wow. And I'm surprised, but I don't think it's a crazy pick. I mean, I think the way you just explained everything is very logical. And Kyrie Irving is a Looney Tune. Like, I mean, he needs to be in Space Jam. With all
for
those
sure,
guys.
man.
So
Yeah,
he
I agree.
is
So,
out
yeah,
there.
that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I like it. I will say to your point about Simmons, the only reason that I like the Nets over them in regards to Simmons on the ball defense, I think you can put him on Harden or KD or Kyrie, but then you still got two other guys that can go off. I think that's the Nets difference maker there and why I like them more. But I definitely agree with you about the health. The health is the main factor with both these teams. I
Mhm.
mean, any team in the playoffs is one injury away. And that's the big factor with the NBA is it's a players league, you know? So once you drop and once you lose one guy, it changes your whole team. It's like right now the Nuggets, you know, not having Jamal Murray. You know, we might have picked them to beat the Lakers possibly, you know, if they were fully healthy because they're playing really well. They just don't have their, you know, their number two guy. And you know, it's the same thing with the Nets right now. They've dealt with injuries, and the Lakers have dealt with injuries. So it's going to be about that. So let's find out here who we both have in our as our champions. And I got the Brooklyn Nets. And I think it could go seven, and I think it probably will go seven. But I got the Nets. They're going to have the home court. I just think KD and those guys are just going to be a little too much for the Lakers. And again, I think LeBron is just, he's still the greatest, and I would probably still have him at number one in the league. But I think he's starting to be on that. He's very slightly started to be on the backside now of his career, and he's shown that with the injuries a little bit this year. So I just think it's too much firepower. And the other thing I didn't mention earlier with the Nets is it's not just those three guys. You know, they got a really good roster there. You know, they still got Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. They got a lot of DeAndre Jordan. They got a lot of veteran good players there
Well,
that can help as well.
Aldridge is out,
So,
right? He's done.
oh yeah, okay. So let's start again. And yeah, and the Nets, you know, they still have some good players there with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan and a couple of those other guys there. So I think that that's a good balanced team, and I think they'll just be a little too much for the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers have enough shooting is the one problem. And the other thing I meant to mention with the Lakers earlier, even though I still think they make this big run to the finals, is I don't know if Andre Drummond – I don't know what his deal is with the Lakers, why he's not gelling as well with them. I mean, you'd think that that would be a good fit because JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard played decent with them last year. It's just he gets in there and he's just not doing much. He was a double-double machine with Detroit, and so maybe he's on the back half of his career, but he's just not fitting well with them yet. So
Yeah, I think the issue with Drummond is he just kind of clogs that lane, and it doesn't allow AD to play his game. You know, and
yeah,
I think you're
yeah.
going to see in especially in these late series, they're going to be putting AD at the five, and I'm not sure Drummond's going to have a big spot on that team. I don't think he's going to have a
I,
lot of minutes there. So I agree.
I think that I think Yeah, I think that's their best lineup is when AD plays the five. You know, I think that's when they're at their best when AD plays the five, and that's why else I really wish the Lakers not. That's why else I'm really surprised that the Lakers didn't go out and get another shooter. You know, like Wesley Matthews is on that team, but he's like a non-factor for them. You know, and you know Dennis Schroeder again, he's too much of a scoring point guard as opposed to Rondo would be setting those other guys up. You know. So I don't know how great he fits, but again, it's just you know anybody can fit when you got LeBron and AD, you know. So it's like they can make things happen and make things work. So, but I got the Nets. I got the Nets taking it down. All right, who you got with the 76ers versus the Lakers?
Lakers in six. So yeah,
All
so
right, break it down.
so here's my whole thing, man. I just think we live in a simulation. Like I really do, and things just correlate. Like LeBron, this is just in time for Space Jam 2. You know, like movie theaters been getting crushed all year because of COVID. Hollywood wants a big one, and yeah, here's Space Jam 2 coming right at the heel of what would be the end of the finals. The Lakers win, like just the NBA wins, everybody wins, you know, and like you also have like the whole like LeBron seems to be the mouthpiece for like the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, Kobe just made the Hall of Fame, so there's still like those storylines there. And also, this is a crazy stat: LeBron, when healthy, he had that one season where he was injured, but he's made 9 straight finals outside of that one where he was injured. And I just I don't know. This is 10, lucky number 10, and I don't know, man. It's just too much. I know. I agree with you. The Lakers, I don't think they're as healthy as they were last year. I don't think they have, um, they're not fluent in that offense, but they're still a great defensive team. I think they're going to pull it together. And I think the GOAT resides from 3-3-0. That's what I think it's about. So, yeah, I got the Lakers here in 6.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, I mean, I was watching that game versus the Warriors, and it looked like they weren't playing good. Nothing was working, and they still pull out a win against them. I mean, I just think that even when they play in that way, average, they can still beat a lot of these teams. And then just think when they start playing well, start getting in a rhythm, start getting healthy, they can definitely put it all together at any time. So.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. So
For the Lakers,
we'll see. I got the Lakers. You got the Nets.
Lakers Nets. We both all right. So yeah, the Lakers and the Nets. Those are our picks. Let's find out what happens. I'm interested to see how this plays out. Anything else to break down about these playoffs before we start watching today? Actually, playoffs start today.
No, I was going to ask you, what you thought if there was going to be like a big upset, but I think your answer is probably that Clippers series because you got them going out in the first round. I found that pretty, that's an upset. So
yeah, that was going to be that was my one upset. Yeah, that was my one upset. And then obviously, we both got upsets in the way of the Lakers are a 7 seed, beating the 2 seed beating the 2 seed Suns and all them. But yeah, that'd be my one bold prediction, I would say, is the Mavs coming out with a win. I just like their offense. I just don't believe in the Clippers. I just don't think they're well put together. I think the Mavs can take that down from them. Any bold predictions from you? Or anything you could see happening maybe that we didn't talk about?
Oh man. I don't know. I got Philly going way farther than anybody else's Gavs. That's pretty
That's your bold.
I think that's it's hard looking at these, especially in the East. Like I just cannot imagine one of these just teams like coming out that you wouldn't suspect. So I wouldn't say I have any bold predictions out of the East other than Philly just making it as far as I have them. And I kind of like your idea that the Clippers losing in the first series. That's a bold take. So I love it, man.
Yeah, and like you said with the East, I just don't think that it's going to be like last year where some of these teams would come out because there's no fans. They're all playing in the bubble. It was kind of a weird year. So I think it starts getting a little bit back to normal this year. And yeah, I don't see anybody other than the Sixers or Nets coming out. And then, the West is more open though. The Suns beating the Lakers in the first round. Neither of us see that. But would I be shocked? No,
Nope.
I wouldn't be that
Not
shocked
at all.
to see them.
No, and in the West, it's a different story out West. I mean, you got 5 or 6 of those teams that are really good, and I could see, going all the way. So,
yeah, definitely. All right, well, yeah, as the playoffs go, we'll keep jumping in and giving our takes on some of the games. KP&AC Media, thanks for tuning in, and until next time. There's the Clippers scared of the Lakers.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
It's KP&AC, our takes is like crazy. Hot takes on the daily, we might take your lady. This flow goes but no nose, bananas got boatloads. Big time we go. Hard like this promo, karate kick, I'm Jet Li. One hand on that jet ski, ice cold like Pepsi. You damn right we sexy, opinions with no pity. In our bag with so many, smart and so witty. Got the swag of the city. Sports talk that talk. Best check your wall clock. We on time, every time. Got it all like Walmart. Oh shit, we might blow. Don't you know it's time to go? KP&AC, welcome to our show.